We'll get started. Welcome, everyone. It's a snowy Tuesday afternoon in Connecticut, and I'm thrilled to have so many people join us today. I'm Elisa Velardo, Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Developmental Services. And I just want to share a little bit about the Fourth Tuesday Forums before I introduce our presenters. Since July of 2022, we've hosted these monthly forums on the fourth Tuesday of every month, and we feature presenters who speak about services and support options that have worked for them personally or that may expand upon the services that traditionally have been available. And this month, we're going to talk about a few different options that have helped people around the state live successfully in their communities. I want to let you know that today's session will be recorded, and that's so that people who are not able to join us this afternoon will be able to view the forum at a later date. If you're interested in any of the previous forums, you would go to the DDS website, and you'll see at the bottom of the list on the homepage, Fourth Tuesday Forums, you'll see all of the forums for 2023 listed, and then you'll see a link to all of the forums that took place in 2022. So today our topic is residential transformation. Why are we talking about residential transformation? Some of you may have participated in forums that Commissioner Sheff and I held throughout the month of January and into February. Our goal was to kick off 2023 talking about some exciting initiatives, some of which I hope you're already aware of, and some that may be new to you and that maybe you'll hear a little bit more about today. As you may have heard, the state has received federal funding from the American Rescue Plan Act, also known as ARPA, for Medicaid home and community-based services. The funding that we received must be invested in enhancing, expanding, and strengthening community-based Medicaid supports and services, and it's available through March of 2025. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to transform the DDS system and expand the range of options and services that are offered. The resources we have available to think creatively about more integrated and individualized services are unmatched. Overall, the ARPA initiatives are about maximizing independence, integration, and individualization to be sure that individuals we support have the same opportunities as everyone else, determining how they live their own lives within their communities. So I'm so excited about today's speakers, but before I introduce them, I just want to give you some specific information about some of the current opportunities that are being offered in Connecticut by DDS at this time through these ARPA initiatives. The first is strengthening the provider network. For those of you who are part of the private provider community or are supported by the private provider community, funds have been given to our provider network to strengthen their services, address staffing issues that we know have had such a big effect on our system capacity, and invest in technology and infrastructure within provider organizations. So our goal is to strengthen our provider network, build capacity, so that our providers are in a position to support some of these new options. For those of you who self-direct, ARPA funds have been focused on enhancing self-direction by creating a new and improved employment platform that'll be rolled out within the month of March, and we'll talk more about it in the March forum. It's called rewardingwork.com, and it's designed and has new features to help those who self-direct be able to hire staff. We're also focused on improving the role and responsibility of the fiscal intermediary. We currently, if you go to the DDS website again on the homepage, if you scroll down, you see latest news, you'll see a variety of opportunities for funding for a variety of different initiatives. One is to expand supportive housing through the expansion of non-project-based supportive housing, or also known as scattered site. We know that supportive housing has been really exciting to people in Connecticut. We have built quite a bit of momentum. We've had several low-income tax credit supportive housing developments up and running now. We have many more in the pipeline, but because it's such a desirable option for people, we're expanding supportive housing to be possible in existing developments. And so that opportunity is available right now. You have probably heard a little bit about our system transformation, the Moving On initiative. Moving On really connects with our topic today. It's part of a once-in-a-generation opportunity for DDS providers, partners, and our workforce to make improvements throughout our system. These improvements will allow us to transform our service system so that individuals we support can, where appropriate, live independently and become fuller participants in their community. We've been working with the Moving On initiative since last summer with individuals, families, providers, consultants, DDS staff. A large team has been focused on this initiative. We've been seeking stakeholder input to move this plan forward in a thoughtful, careful way, and we're really we're seeing some momentum. I'm excited to announce that in the months ahead, the work that we've done on the ARPA Moving On initiative will be transitioning into a new phase. There's more information that'll be coming out on this soon. While the Moving On initiative has been a catalyst for change, what we've been designing is the long-term plan for supports and services, even after the ARPA period is ended. We're now integrating the work done through the Moving On initiative into the fabric of our service system. And the long-term result of this work, we're calling STEP. STEP stands for Supporting Transformation to Empower People. We think that this name reflects our mission, values, and goals. STEP offers supports, services, technology, so that individuals can have more choices in their life, within their work, within their roles in their communities. While still having the needed supports, the program will help individuals to live, learn, and work with greater freedom. A newsletter will be going out within the next week or two that will provide more information about this next step. And then the last initiative that I want to talk about is assistive technology. This is a topic that we've talked about a lot in these forums. Tomorrow, March 1st, is National Assistive Technology Awareness Day. We are going to have a presentation tomorrow evening for those that are interested. You can note your name in the chat, and we can send you the link to that presentation. There is so much happening in this area, and one of our presenters is going to speak about the role of assistive technology in life and work in the community. Right now within DDS, we have opportunities for assistive technology grants for people that are supported by providers, as well as those who live at home. That's also on our website under latest news. We have a new opportunity on the horizon for assistive technology in the workplace. We'll talk more about that in next month's forum when we talk about day and employment transformation. We have an initiative that will be rolling out called AT and Me, where our DDS self-advocacy coordinators will train others on the use of various assistive technology resources. And then those who are trained will train others. And it's a train the trainer model. to really share information about the practical uses of assistive technology. We've done massive training over this past year of DDS staff and provider staff on enabling technology, and we'll have more opportunities in the future. And if you're wondering if assistive technology may be helpful for you or for your loved one, but you're not certain what technology is out there and what might be beneficial, you can work with your case manager to request an assistive technology assessment. And those assessments provide information and guidance in terms of what type of assistive technology might be beneficial. So I'm going to now turn it over to our first presenter. As you may know, in these forums, we have a combination of presenters who have professional experience, and then we have those who share their life experience. So we're going to start off today with someone that I've known. I was thinking about it probably over 15 years. Angel Valdez is going to share his experience of moving from a CLA, a group home environment, into his own apartment. And so at this point, I would like to turn it over to Angel Valdez, who will be presenting. He's got a couple folks here supporting him, and Alzira Pitts is with him today. And Alzira and Angel, I turn it over to you.
All right. Hey guys, how are you? So my name is Alzira Pitts. I'm a senior program director here with Vinton, Connecticut, and I have the privilege to know Angel since 2007 when he moved into Forest Road, one of our CLA programs. He then moved on to his dream of being independent in his home in 2018. He moved into his own apartment and he has adjusted very well. Angel accomplished many of his goals, which he will share with everyone very soon. Currently, he receives 17 hours a week of support, and his current goals are budgeting, maintaining ADLs, and community employment. Now, let's get to the fun part. You ready? All right. So he'll be able to answer questions later on after this is over. I know Elisa has a plan for that. So tell us, Angel, what was your journey when you first moved into Forest Road?
Well, the first program that I used to be in was Whitney Academy. Mostly, to say the truth, it was like a prison. I couldn't do nothing. I had to call myself in through like rooms and stuff. My video games had to been locked up, stuff like that. But when I did really well, Cornell came over, talked to me about Vinton, and that's how I got to Forest Road for the first time. And at first, it was hard for me to adjust to my new place. When I got used to the house, I was doing well. Had my own room as well, which it was small though. Until one of the clients moved out, so I had to move in to the master bedroom because I had a lot of stuff. And after that, I was doing so well. I had the privilege to go out on my own to like stores or to my mom's house or anywhere. Then after I did what I had to do, they told me if I wanted my own place. But first they said, if you want to live with somebody else, I mostly acted up at the last minute when we're supposed to move in together. And then after that, I moved into my own place.
So let us know, but why did you want to move into your own place? So
Well,
give us a little details on why did you want to move from like a CLA into your own apartment?
I wanted to move in by myself because at Forest Road, I had my own room, but I had no privacy at all. The clients kept like coming into my room without knocking, like stuff like that. So that's why I wanted my own apartment. But when I did get my own apartment, at first it was scary because I never been on my own before. So it was scary. I had to get used to it. But when I did, I got lonely. I had to get myself a cat. And when I did, it passed away. So I went to my sister and he gave me a new cat, which it was already full grown. And then after that, that's where I met my wife. And I'm proud to be married. And she's living with me, and I'm happy. I'm really happy to have her in my life.
And she's actually here with us. Please say hi. So it's a great success story to move from a CLA into a IHS where he felt very independent, able to make his own decisions. As you can see, he decided and went ahead and got married and now living the dream life, and he's working. And
Used to work.
yeah, well, you're looking for.
Yes. I'm working on getting a new job.
Right.
So,
And what was other, yes, your benefit?
so yeah, when I got a job, I was paying for everything. So after that, I got into a lot of things like Star Wars, Dragon Ball Z, art. I'm still doing art. And so my whole house is full of stuff that I bought. And it's like mostly I've been telling everybody that it looks like a store called Hobby Lobby.
And he wanted to share it. So if you want to move the camera around.
If I can share it with you guys.
Yeah, go ahead. You could grab the computer and show your.
Yes. Well, you can see a whole lot of stuff behind me. It's almost, I don't know. Yeah. I paid for all of that because I learned how to manage my money and stuff, how to save it. That's how I got all of my stuff.
Wow. Wow. When I say we've known each other more than 15 years, we haven't been in touch in the last couple of years, and I am just so happy for you. I'm happy for you and your wife.
Thank you.
As you were talking about your artwork and your creativity, I think about the drawings that you used to do, and I can see you've expanded into
Yes.
just so much creative work. I am so happy for you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being willing to share your story. We hold questions to the end so that we can get to all our presenters. And I can already see there's a lot of activity in the chat. And a lot of, I don't know if you can see the chat on your screen, but a lot of like amazing positive feedback. So thank you so much. Stick around and we'll definitely get to questions.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Well, Shay, that's a tough act to follow. I'd like to now introduce Shay Tanis, who will be speaking with us today on the role of technology solutions in community living. We're so lucky to have Shay join us here today, a national leader in our field and a wealth of information. Shay comes to us from the Kansas University on developmental disabilities and is part of a consortium on assistive technology that Connecticut is a part of with I think it's upwards of 20 states across the country at this point in time. So I will now turn it over to Shay Tanis.
Hey, well, thank you so much, Lisa, and thanks for having me. And Patricia, thanks for the invite. And Angel, you are a tough act to follow. So I am so privileged to actually be on a panel with you. So thank you for sharing all those amazing accomplishments that you have made in your life. I also come to this as a family member. With a brother with significant disabilities. And so that definitely colors my perspective in all of this work. My background is in self-determination, technology innovation and cognitive access, as well as data and understanding our systems and advancing what are the rights of people with cognitive disabilities to technology and information access. So I just wanted to share kind of a couple items as you were going through learning about the role of technology solutions, the role that they can play in community living. I think just our pure essence of being here online together demonstrates some of the power of connectivity that technology can bring to folks. But I do want to share kind of what we've learned through our process, you know, starting with really what is community living and why has it changed and why is it so important to see this evolution that Angel talked about, moving from a real kind of confined environment to having, you know, it struck me, Angel, you said I had the privilege to go out on my own. You know, that's something a lot of people take for granted, being able to have that autonomy and have that agency to do that. And that's what we hope for everybody, that it's just part of community living when we go there. And it has to bring us back also to really where we started thinking about what is community living. And it used to be, you know, that we looked at community living as this recognition of folks to move out of institutionalized or congregate facilities to live in their environments that are not segregated to receive their supports and services. And, you know, this is one of the most significant legislations is Olmstead, allowing people to move into what are their preferred environments. But what's been interesting since 1999 has really been that we've expanded this idea of what community living is. And it really is not only where you are, it's not the location, but it's how you live and how you spend your day. You can simply have an institutional feel if you're isolated and lonely, as Angel also talked about, having that loneliness factor when he first went into his own apartment. That can feel very isolating and much more institutionalized. But part of when we talk about community living is being able to have the opportunities to move around your own environment and do the things that an individual wants to do. And really and truly, we cannot do that in everyday living without thinking about our technology. The technology influences all of our domains in living today. It, in fact, is one of the major reliances in American culture as folks evolve throughout their daily structure, they begin their day with technology and often end their day with technology. Technology also serves as a solution. You're going to hear me talk about technology solutions because it helps individuals decrease or eliminate mismatch between what are strengths and the environment, what the environment demands. And that's what a lot of us do. We use our own technology to schedule, to allow us to adapt to our environment. That is so demanding on all of our needs and on our brain power and our connectivity. It also allows for supports for inhabiting or supporting people through agentic living. And when we talk about agentic living, that means an individual driving their own opportunities, driving their own services. They are the causal agents or the people that make the things happen in their lives. And technology could serve as a support to that. And so I want to be really clear because this often is an item of contention. When we talk about technology solutions for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, it's not meant to replace people. It's meant to provide people opportunities that they may not otherwise have, or to reinforce opportunities to deploy resources in different ways. So if you have a direct care provider, not having them log in papers all the time, but being able to use that time to spend with the individual achieving their goals and more efficiently using time. So what kind of technologies are needed in our environments now that ensure the health and safety and support of the individual with IDD in their own community? And I'm going to tell you why I talk about technology solutions. And assistive technology is under the umbrella of what we consider technology solutions. And the reason we talk about technology solutions is for 5 reasons. 1, a solution is anything that doesn't work yet. It allows us to drive towards goals. It's multifunctional and diverse. A solution can be multifunctional, much like a lot of our technologies today. It also, when we talk about a solution, it implies that we're using the technology to be goal-oriented or to achieve what we hope to achieve. It also is really familiar to those who are creating the solutions, such as designers and engineers. So we're using the same language that they're using. And it also, by using this broader term, allows us to think about what are the future technologies? What is the emerging or future tech that we can't even picture now that could provide the ultimate solution for any individual? And so there are a number of different solutions, and many of you could go through your day and think about all the ways you use technology to help you achieve your goals. I use my technology to get my coffee in the morning. That's definitely a goal I need to achieve every morning if I want to function. But there are all these domains of living, and part of what I wanted to share with you is some of the types of solutions people are using or have been valuable for folks to use with IDD as they engage in their communities. So all of these types of technologies have been demonstrated to be helpful to achieve the goals of individuals. So we break it down really to show you the whole broad width of different types of solution. The beautiful thing of technology is the sky is the limits now. We're really having so many nuanced technology solutions that they can be identified for any functional need. Some of the things we've seen really valuable, particularly during COVID, certainly, was connected communities. Communities that were connected via any internet connection, or either we saw people connected through Zoom, being able to do to delivery of groceries, being connected in a way to help support local communities. We've also seen smart home technologies that aid with automation and everyday access, making things easier for all of us in our everyday lives. Sometimes there are needs for the temperatures to be controlled, their assistance in laundry creation, or opening up the doors. These are everyday access things that can help make living more easier for many folks. We've seen folks even moving into roommate apps to be able to help identify who could be the right roommates. I mean, Angel talked about some of the roommates that he had. What would be the ideal if you can identify those roommates and do have those relationships being prior to being forced into a placement with those folks? So these are opportunities to do a matching process. We talked about, Elisa talked about accessible housing and what are those options. That's a big piece right now, is looking at how to look at accessible housing. And then finally, we talk about remote supports, being able to provide supports from a distance. And this has really been a gateway technology for many of our technology first states as they move into identifying supports and services that can be modified or modernized to support individuals. What are some other technologies that help with community living? Well, I will tell you that during the pandemic, almost all the gyms that are in our local area and many others moved to virtual options. So many opportunities are provided through those virtual options to be able to do exercise, to do video tutorials. In fact, they have become the predominant way in which people learn how to deal with new tools or new items in their home. There's no longer the hard paper manual. It's all online video tutorials on how to make things happen or how to make things work. We've also seen social navigation systems where folks can move around using some social navigation to identify where friends are or the right places to go. And then prompting systems to use for when they are trying to do any of their functioning during the day. We use, scheduling. We use all sorts of different apps and supports as we go through our day to help us navigate the activities that we have. What about where a person works and how they make money? Well, we definitely know the rate of expansion of remote work that has occurred during the pandemic, and it is here to stay. And what that means is we have to increase the availability and opportunities for people to be able to use that. In fact, it does solve one of the most drastic challenges of employment of folks with intellectual and developmental disabilities, which is transportation. That has long time been a major barrier to work. And now, because of the pandemic, because of the access to different technologies, we're essentially removing that barrier and identifying sometimes some new barriers, but others that can be addressed in a different way. We've seen XR, which is a type of extended realities and augmented realities for skill training that help people learn new skills. There's also a whole bunch of online new course catalogs that can be used that use this augmented reality that allow people to see in real time their own environment and support what to do to fix different items or learn new skills. And then there's these new fiscal management tools, how to manage your own money, how to track the money that, as Angel had talked about, being able to save his money to be able to purchase the things that he wants to in his home. There are ways and tools to support individuals to do that as they want. Many of us use our own online banking. We are now moving into a forum where the digital currency is the predominant currency across the world. And so supporting individuals to be able to use those strategies to be able to manage, maintain, and support their own money is going to become really important. Some of the quality relationships, well, in the earlier days of some of the technology boom, we saw a whole bunch of social robotics and virtual opportunities for folks to use some of these companion care options. But we also have all the social networking tools, those that can be a little scary to start, but can be used in a way that allow people to network with their own homegrown networks and be able to communicate and also participate in civic justice and their civic responsibilities. These are opportunities that may not, again, because of transportation or because of opportunity, may not have been available until now, but they are. So we have to take advantage of some of those elements in keeping people informed. Much of what happened during the pandemic was understanding when there were outbreaks, what were the new procedures, mask procedures. A lot of that occurred through social networking, gaining some of that information through people's social networks, if they were isolated in their home. And I always bring up this virtual companion care because it's becoming more and more prevalent to see people having opportunities to meet with one another outside of just the work environment or the home environment, but having companions that you can meet with in different countries or in different states. Some of the way we see personal interests using technology, and again, all of these are, I give you these menus of options because I want you to think about the potential role that technology can play in any individual's life. What are the opportunities? They aren't going to work for everyone, but there are opportunities to use these in multiple different ways. So thinking about accessible gaming, we in fact worked with some of our large program partners on like Xbox accessibility, making sure people have that. Music composition accessibility in terms of creating new music just by a single touch. Doing virtual reality sports, even down to plant monitors that help you home grow your own fruits and vegetables. These are ways of sustainability and using technology to enhance your own personal interests that can be supportive. We cannot neglect what is spirituality and wellness. This is a real area that I'm hoping to see investments in the future, this wellness opportunity that has been very mainstream for some time. You see all the mood apps, the Calm apps. Everybody needed some sort of app to calm them during the pandemic. And yet these were not applied or accessed for many folks with intellectual disabilities. Ways to internally identify what stressors are and how can we really improve that wholeness and wellness. And there's so many opportunities here that just have to be introduced to individuals. Meditation, virtual religious services. Again, where we see some rub is that transportation and access. These are providing new forums for people to have engagement opportunities, as well as accessible books for reading and wellness. And so I really do, this is an area where I think there's potential huge growth in seeing around how we can address some of the mainstream wellness programs to support individuals as they go through their day. So thinking about if you have extra time in your day, can you meditate? Can you look at your goals? These are wellness considerations that fall into the whole social wellness, such as health, etc. And speaking of health, finally, I'll talk about what our health and wellness sensors. So we're seeing a lot of the digital twins, meaning that you can see your body, your wellness in a digital forum, understanding how to use your own information to help you create personal body goals or biological goals. The quantified self is using information, using your data to tell you whether you have higher blood pressure, whether there's a medication you need to be taking, telehealth, teleservices, telemedicine, medication dispensers, and really these wearables are providing opportunities for people with intellectual disabilities to direct their own health management. And while many of service providers, the challenge has always been medication dispensers or being able to have a person in the home to be able to provide medication, these new technologies are giving solutions so people can do that on their own with some support that may be virtual. And we have a health wearable project that we're on to find those most accessible healthcare wearables for folks to monitor their own health. Oh, and I'm sorry, the last thing is really personal growth. If you are not involved in an opportunity to upskill or add to your credentials or do some credentialing during COVID, you now have continued opportunities to do this online. So we have new literacy tools, new learning tools for folks to identify their own areas of growth and be able to take online learning or other learning modules to do that. So there's learning and personal growth that can occur with the augmented supports of technology solutions. Now, technology solutions do not come without some risk, and it's important to address the benefits and the risks. We fall onto the dignity of risk side, where people with intellectual disabilities, as well as disabilities in general, have the opportunity to drive their own options and be able to do that in a protected environment, yet not taking away their opportunities. And so thinking about what are the benefits and what are the risks and being able to weigh the balance of that. We do have risks in data privacy. We are all taking that risk being online today. We have all said, yep, we are willing to take that risk to be able to learn. And so considering what the benefits are to that, you do have information security risks. Again, if you do email, you are taking the risk that your information can be used because of the benefits that email provides you to stay connected and do your work. We do have a concern in our field, certainly around excessive automation, making sure that people still have the opportunity to try and direct their own items and the things that they do. We do not want excessive automation. We don't want systems or technologies to take people's autonomy or their opportunity to control their own environments away. There is a risk of isolation and loneliness. There's also a benefit of having access to people you wouldn't have access to in other environments. Discrimination, social construction, all of these are risks, but you also have to look at the benefits. What happens if we don't integrate folks with IDD into technology at all? Oftentimes they will miss out on so many opportunities that mainstreamed are being provided. They may also be closed out of environments. So not having an email can prevent folks from being able to buy anything in stores, being able to sign up for new systems. There are all these benefits. We also will not get to true inclusion and acceptance and diversity unless we are involved in the conversation. And that means people have to have opportunities to engage in these options and technologies as they move through their daily life, as everyone else does. So I will not deny there are risks, but there are also tremendous benefits, and being reasonable about the risks and the benefits and providing people with the opportunity to learn about those risks and benefits is our job. To be able to support people, not control them, but allow them the opportunity to learn about the risks and the benefits and make their own decisions. And so finally, I'll just close real quickly to say that in terms of lack of access to the digital community and technology solutions is really a lack of access to what is community living, because it has become so integral to our everyday experiences and should be examined as an opportunity as folks transition across different environments and different settings. So I want to thank you for the opportunity. My colleagues, thank you. I always love joining you. And I'll go ahead and stop there.
Well, thank you so much, Shay. And I can guarantee you, I am going to be watching this video again and reviewing this PowerPoint again and again. Thanks for so much. Excellent information. And we did get some comments in the chat. We have one more presenter, and then we'll get into some of the questions that people have. Our next presenter is sorry, I lost my page there. Our next presenter is going to share his experience of moving from his family home to live with Herb and Karen, CCH providers. So Sean Tobin is here. I think his mom is here as well in the background. Sean, I'm going to turn it over to you, and looking forward to hear your story.
Yep, I've moved here. How long have I been here?
Since October.
So I've been here since October.
Hi, Sean. And this is Karen with Sean. She's the CCH licensee supporting Sean. She doesn't want to be seen. So
Doesn't matter, I can be seen.
Oh, okay. But this is all about Sean, really, and Sean's experience. So my name is Elise Pearson. I'm a resource compliance coordinator with the CCH program in the West region. And Sean, so can you tell us a little bit about your experience with like you, your mom, and your sister, and how you guys decided that you thought, or how you all decided that CCH would be the right fit for you?
I've moved here I was in Thomaston, and now I'm in CCH, and now I've moved here from Thomaston to Cheshire.
And how is that working for you, Sean? Because you have a lot of activities that you used to do in Thomaston. So how is that working out for you living in Cheshire?
Good.
Good. And what kind of things, like your wrestling, that was really important to you, right?
Yep.
And so you're still able to do your wrestling, you're still able to hang out with friends from Thomaston. And how is all that going for you, being connected to your friends, but living in Cheshire?
Good.
Good. And work has been important for you because you have a competitive employment. You work at one of the grocery stores in Thomaston.
Yep.
So it's been pretty important for you, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, for many, many years. So how is that going for you, your work schedule and living in Cheshire?
I work 2 to 6 Monday, Thursday, Friday, 2 to 6 at Adams. And I work I bowl Saturdays, 11 to 12 on Saturday, and I bowl at 5 o'clock on Tuesday nights.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's right.
That's right.
That's what we have to get to tonight. Okay. Sean, can you tell us a little bit about how you feel about living with with Karen and Herb, and also you have roommates now, which you didn't have living with mom.
No.
Yeah. How is it having roommates?
Yes, I love having roommates. I got
Awesome.
Joe, Lewis, and
That's it. Joe and Louis.
So Joe and Lewis.
If you count the animals, but they don't live in the house, right?
No.
No.
Some of them do.
Some of them do.
So that's awesome. So living with Joe and Lewis and having roommates, that's been huge for you. And I'm glad that it's been a good experience.
Yep.
And what else do you like about living at the Brooks house?
So we've been going to a couple of ball games.
Oh yeah, big baseball fan over there, right? It's the
Yankees
Yankees, right? That you
Yep.
guys are big fans of? Everything.
Yep.
Awesome. So you get to experience hanging out with Herb and doing things that you really enjoy.
Yep.
And building a relationship with someone that you wouldn't have had the chance maybe living with your mom still?
Yep.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like everybody else to know?
Let's see. So I love living in Cheshire.
What about Going out to the chickens.
So it's, well, I'm going out to the chickens.
Yeah. So that is that an adjustment for you living with farm animals?
Yeah.
Yeah. But they're nice and there's a nice setup there. It's nice and clean, right?
Yep.
It's a good feeling.
Yep.
Very nice. And
Sounds
Karen's fam.
Very
Go ahead.
helpful.
Sorry, Karen.
Very helpful.
I'm very helpful.
I'm glad to hear it. And Karen's family is very supportive. They all live very close. So how is that for you, learning or getting to build a relationship with Karen and Herb's family?
All the boys, all the baseball fans.
All the baseball fans.
They all hang out together.
Yep.
Sean fits right in.
Actually, I think one of them's coming home.
Yeah. We're going to get him from the Marine boot camp this week.
So they're going to get him from Marine boot camp this week.
Very nice.
Sean's very excited to see him.
Hey.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, your smile is definitely contagious, Sean, and we're so happy to hear your story and thank you for sharing with us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Elise and Karen. I mean, Sean and Karen in the background. I heard you were shy of being on camera, but thank you for joining us virtually. All right, at this point, we are going to open it up to questions, and we'll go back to the beginning. So I'm going to scroll up, and there's been some back and forth in the chat. So some of the questions have been answered as the presentations have been going on. So the first question, I think, was when I was speaking, what do you mean by providers? Healthcare providers, housing providers? When I talk about provider stability, I'm talking about DDS qualified providers. So providers that provide services that are qualified for to provide DDS services. And there is a range of providers, a large provider community. The vast majority of services in Connecticut are provided through our qualified provider community, and the services range through the whole continuum. So some of the supports that we're talking about today, Sean is talking about CCH, living in a CCH home. Angel is talking about living in his own apartment with individualized housing supports. Providers provide employment services, residential supports, 24-hour residential supports. So when I talk about provider stability, I'm talking about DDS qualified providers. And then the next question, my caseworker doesn't know about moving on, what it's all about. Will this information, so for that, Gunnar is on the call with us. I'm going to ask Gunnar to put his contact information in the chat. If anyone that's on this call has questions that their case manager may not be familiar with or have information about, reach out to Gunnar and we'll follow up on those specific questions to make sure that you have the information that you need. Will this information be posted on the DDS website? Yes, it will. So on the cover, the homepage of the DDS website, you'll see Fourth Tuesday forums. It does take us a little while. We have to trim the recordings and then convert them into a particular format. So I'd say give it a week or so. But we also, with your permission, Shay, will include your PowerPoint, and that way people will have not only the recording, but the PowerPoint presentation with all of the resources in that. Quite a few people were interested in the assistive technology presentation scheduled for tomorrow evening, and Gunnar put the link to that forum that's taking place tomorrow at 6 p.m. And that's in celebration of Assistive Technology, National Assistive Technology Awareness Day. And that is going to be a great presentation. I'll be attending. Look forward to see some of you there. Another question around housing supports. My case manager is not aware or able to provide housing supports. How do I get somebody that can help me? Email that specific need, what specifically you're looking for to Gunnar, and we will connect you with the right person. More interested in that webinar on assistive technology. Let's see, a lot of great feedback. Angel, a lot of great feedback for you. People just you rocked it, and congratulations. And you did an amazing presentation, and people really appreciated you sharing your story. And some people would be very jealous of your collectibles. So a lot of positive feedbacks there. And I put the names of all of the presenters in the chat. People wanted to know who presented. And then I think the next question, Shay, is for you. Where would you find something like a roommate app?
So there are, and I just put in the chat, there are dozens of these type of roommate apps. I can't endorse any one over the other, but there are also opportunities that are more locally grown. So there are some providers that we know about across the country who have their own technology solutions to be able to help with that matching process. And so do a little investigation locally, but there are a number, there's a friend of mine says there's an app for that, meaning that there's almost an app for everything you could possibly come up with. Whether they're accessible, whether they're in your local community varies, but certainly there are opportunities to use some of these nuanced technologies to be able to identify or leverage or take advantage of some of the mainstream things that happen outside of our own DD field that can be incredibly valuable. So I put a number of them up there. I think if you even just Googled, roommate apps, you'll get a list of, up to 12 of the best. But so take advantage of those opportunities. We do have some colleagues out of Easter Seals. Bridging Apps is a group out of Texas. They're colleagues of ours. They do rate apps for disability, and they have a expert panel that does that evaluation. And so I would start there. It helps narrow down some of the scope in terms of the app for that. But there are opportunities certainly to take advantage of.
Thank you. And then the next, also connected to your presentation, that we need an effective pipeline to identify remote jobs.
Yeah, I think what's great is we have seen through the pandemic a greater representation of diversity, equity, inclusion, and hiring. There are more and more large companies that have capacity to build employee resource groups that are targeted around diversity, that can really work towards that opportunity. The Valuable 500 is an international group that looks at who are the companies that identify or try to support the employment of folks with broad disabilities. So there are more and more options. I think COVID, there are some silver linings to the pandemic, and one is it really opened the door to allow for more flexibility in employment situations. And so how we leverage that as a community, how we take advantage of this new landscape is going to be really important. And so figuring out how to identify those jobs that allow for more flexibility will be tremendously helpful.
Thanks. And I think I would add, if you're particularly interested in employment and how technology and employment are interface, I'd invite you to join the March Forum. We're going to really talk about day in employment transformation. We will definitely feature assistive technology, and I will note this interest in and remote employment. And we'll see if we can speak to that as well. So please tune in to the March forum. The next comment is, I think you were talking about video chatting and communication, virtual communication. Somebody noted that there's video chatting on Facebook Messenger too, if you have a Facebook account. And when you were talking about the risks, and even by having email, there are risks associated with that, but great benefits as well. There was a comment, the same with your cell phone number and your address. And so I think we've all experienced that. You have technology that has great possibilities. It connects us, but you have to be aware of some of those risks as well. And let's see. The next comment was, where can we find information on accessible housing and remote jobs? Sue, if you have a particular information that you're looking for, I would invite you to reach out to Gunnar by email. Remote jobs, I think if you join the March forum, we're going to be talking about employment and technology. In the meantime, though, it may be worthwhile to talk with your case manager about customized employment with a particular interest in remote positions. I think that might be an option worth exploring. And in terms of accessible housing, I shared the notice of opportunity that's currently out on expanding supportive housing. I think that's designed to expand housing options, and that would include accessible housing, but for particulars, because we know Connecticut has, depending on where you're located, the resources are really geographically specific. If you have specific information, reach out to Gunnar, and we'll see if we can connect you with the right person. Are there similar housing opportunities in Waterbury? That similar housing, Helen, similar housing opportunities, I'm not sure at what point you posted that, similar to, there are housing opportunities in Waterbury. I'm not sure if that was in regard to housing like Angel.
It was CCH.
Oh, CCH, or like, and then I think I see a note, housing like Angel as well. So yes, in terms of CCH, we have CCH opportunities across the state. You would talk with your case manager. There's CCH case managers and folks like Elise that can provide you with information. We have a CCH team in each region. And then housing like Angel, yes, there are apartments across the state. And so if you're affiliated with a provider, you might want to talk with them about IHS and whether they provide IHS services. If you're not affiliated with a provider, you can talk with your case manager, talk about what options may be available. But IHS apartments like Angels are available across the state, depending. We know we have urban, suburban, and rural areas. So what type of housing is available across the state may vary, but we have IHS that is available across the state. And so I think the final question is it the housing that we're talking about available for people affiliated with DDS? Yes, our forum today and when we talk about qualified providers would be through DDS, but there are other resources outside of DDS within the state around housing or some of technology, some of the other things that we've talked about. So if you want to reach out to Gunnar with your particular need. And even if you're not affiliated with DDS, we'll try to connect you with the right resource. And did I miss any questions? All right, I would love to thank all of you. For those of you who presented, we just had a phenomenal range of presentations. These forums just lift me up. They get me excited. I know other people feel the same way. We shared some really great resources. And for those who logged on and asked questions and participated in that way, thank you so much. We invite you to join monthly, and you'll hear a variety of stories. I love the feedback in the chat. I love the way people support one another, and it's really important to celebrate success, to celebrate people living wonderful lives, and to share those experiences, because it just kind of opens up the possibility of options that are out there. So thank you so much, everyone. Oh, I see a hand up. I'm sorry, I missed that. Lynn.
Hey, as I put in the chat, I got on late, and I don't know if you talked about either what's it called, iDash or cluster housing. I know my son's on a waiting list for one that I think is opening up in Westville, or at least it's being talked about. And I just was wondering how that's progressing, or how I can find out more information about it.
So we did talk a little bit about the fact that there's a current notice of opportunity around expanding supportive housing. And that is on the homepage of our DDS website. But in terms of the supportive housing developments that are in process, I think if you email Gunnar about a particular development, we can provide you with an update in terms of where that is in process.
Okay, great. I know Gunnar because I'm on the South Rack, and he was our guy there for a while. So hi, Gunnar.
Hey, Lynn, good to see you.
Good. I'll be emailing you.
All right, sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thanks all.